Hello, today we're going to talk about the otter. No, not that otter, the river otter. And I'm going to explain why the river otter is the coolest animal on the planet. But first things first, there is a difference between river otters and sea otters. This is a river otter, this is a sea otter. They are not the same animal. And we'll explain why the river otter is cooler than the sea otter later. Then, of course, there is the very rare marine otter that hasn't been studied much. It looks like a river otter, but it spends a lot of time in the ocean. Now, some taxonomy. The otters are members of the weasel family, or Mustelidae family, Mustelidae coming from the Latin word for weasel. This includes, obviously, weasels, otters, martens, ferrets, stoats, wolverines, badgers, honey badgers, skunks, and other small carnivores that have musk glands by their tails, with the exception of the sea otter. Sea otters do not have musk glands. Otters can be found all over the world: North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Pretty much everywhere but Antarctica and Australia. There are 15 species of otters. Most of them look very similar. The rarest of these is the South American giant otter. And this is an endangered species because loss of habitat in South America. And also, there are some dumbass fishermen down there that when the fish stocks start running low, instead of blaming themselves and overfishing, they blame the giant river otter for eating all the fish. Like I said, they're dumbass fishermen, though those ones that do blame the giant river otter. So, why are river otters so cool? One, they are very intelligent animals. They like to play with each other. They chase each other around. They'll play with objects they find along the shore, underwater, or in the water. They've been known to take rocks and hide them and have the other otters find them. The mother has to train the young how to swim properly, which most animals, they don't need that much training to swim. Two, they are very playful. They will slide down slides made of ice and snow and mud, and frolic in the water. Like I said, chase each other, play with each other, play with objects they find. And three, they have no natural enemies. Think of how cool that would be if you had no enemies. Because they're predators, they're not prey. So they may run afoul of some other animals that are hunting the same things they are, or maybe when they're on land, they may run into a wolf or two now and then, but for the most part, they have no enemies. So recap, very intelligent, playful, no enemies. What's not to like? I mean, they're very cool animals. At the end of this video, I will show you some videos of animals so you can hear what they sound like and see them playing. Now, why are river otters cooler than sea otters? Well, one, river otters are sleeker and more aerodynamic, and they're just nicer looking than the sea otter with their big noses and coarse fur and thick bodies. And you really don't see sea otters, doing all the sliding and things that the river otters do. Yeah, they're cute when they're rolling on their backs in the water and just smack clamshells open with a rock and whatnot. But come on, the river otter is the coolest animal. So river otters, with the exception of the giant river otter, they're not really that endangered. They have been hunted for their fur because their fur is very soft, very sleek, and is water resistant. And there's not as many river otters, obviously, as there used to be, but you can still find them in the wild. If you're lucky, you can see them in the wild. If not, you can go to a zoo and see them. If you go to the Audubon Zoo in New Orleans, the river otter feeding is at 11. Unfortunately, the river otter enclosed encasement is way in the back in the Louisiana Swamp exhibit, which is like the furthest back in the zoo. So the zoo opens at 10, so if you get there at 10, it gives you plenty of time to see a lot of other animals where you work your way back to the back to see them feed the river otters at 11, and they can let you feed the river otters. They all line up, stand on their hind legs, and very much beg for food. It's really cute. And right next to the river otter exhibit is the white alligator exhibit. Now, I have a collection of river otter figurines. There's a photo of it. And here are some pictures, some examples of my collection. Here's a river otter being ridden by an elf or a pixie, or it's one of my favorite pieces. Here's a river otter holding a fish. This was given to me by my friend Carmen last Christmas. You can see. This I got from the Audubon Zoo in New Orleans. A little river otter snow globe, which is odd because how often does it snow in New Orleans? Then I had this rock with a gold river otter etched into it. So stay tuned for some really cool videos of river otters at the end of this. And as always, if you like these videos, subscribe, share, show them at your wedding, your anniversary parties, your child's birthday parties. If you have any comments, suggestions, criticisms, well, hopefully constructive criticisms, leave them in the comment section. Any other videos you'd like to see. If you'd like to refute any of my statements on why the river otter is the coolest animal or why river otters are cooler than sea otters, just make some comments below and keep it civil. Good to go? It's all right? It's all right. Till we meet again.
Loads of them.
If you're a river otter in Yellowstone National Park, you're all about finding new ways to play. Frolicking in an otter pile? Well, that's fun, but not as much fun as sliding. Ice sliding is about as good as it gets in otterdom. Sometimes it takes 2, even 3 tries to get a good solid slide. An otter has the perfect body for this freeform sport. Designed for streamlined swimming, its head and tail taper into a slender body. But they also make the most of that streamlining on land because they slide around at every opportunity. When they're frolicking around, they seem to always end up in water. These otters have an amazing fur coat with an inner layer that traps air, keeping frigid water off their skin. And, like all extreme sports enthusiasts, otters are willing to go to great lengths for the perfect slide. And here it is, the perfect slide, a group slide. Here's a family of otters rollicking down a mountainside for no other reason than it's one heck of a lot of fun. These otters can reach speeds as great as 15 miles an hour on their way to the bottom. Human beings often pay hundreds of dollars to get into theme parks and go on rides that aren't any more fun than this. And Otterland is 100% absolutely free.